And so I did what naturally anyone else would do. Well, maybe not everyone. Hey guys, it's Ajad. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Alright, so recently a lot of people have been getting into college, and congratulations to everyone that has been. But with admissions and acceptances comes decision making.
How do I know if this college is right for me? Should I go to the University of Iowa or Iowa State? What factors do I need to consider?
In this video, I'm going to be basically answering these questions, breaking it down into 4 essential tips that if you follow through, you should be successful in this whole college selection process. One thing I ask is, if you guys do end up finding this video to be valuable, to hit that thumbs up button. It really helped me out a lot, and with that being said, let's head into tip number 1. Alright, so tip number 1 is college visit. Now, throughout the year, colleges across the country basically have college visit or like tour visit days where basically a couple students in the said university lead on a group of tourists for that college and show them around the campus everything that they need to know about the said campus. And obviously in the past it's been done in person, but now there are even virtual tours, virtual college visits that you guys can be taking advantage of. And the main reason you want to tour or visit said college is to really see if you feel fit, that you feel that you can actually potentially study here for the next 4 years of your life. Like for example, back in 2019, I was deciding between Georgia Tech or the University of Virginia. I went to both of those campuses. They actually had established tours for admitted students. Anyways, when you go on that tour or when you visit a college, make sure you get what you're actually seeking. Like me, for example, when I actually visited Georgia Tech and I was touring around with my tour group that I was assigned to, I kind of struggled to stay awake. I didn't really care about like all the scenery and all the cool buildings they have. Like that didn't really matter to me. I wanted my questions answered. I wanted to know why I should come to Georgia Tech for computer science. And so I did what naturally anyone else would do. Well, maybe not everyone. I basically left my tour group, went straight to the College of Computing, interrogated and asked the Dean of Computing all of my questions and had her convince me why I should come to Georgia Tech for computer science. I asked her about the curriculums, the concentrations, the study abroad opportunities, and sure, as I was going in, as people were passing by, I got some weird stares, I got some weird glances, but did I care? No. College is way too expensive for you to care about all the social awkwardness. Like on one isolated day, April 2019, I did something that people may perceive as weird or awkward, but I much rather have that than just like going to a college that I don't really feel fit at, paying 20-30K per semester when I'm just like miserable. I'd rather not have that, and I'd rather take on that social awkwardness. When you're actually there at college on campus, visiting around, try to try out the food there, because as a freshman, you are gonna have to eat at the dining halls on campus, and so you probably want to get a feel of what you're gonna be eating. So try to try out the food there so that if it's bad on the first day, you don't have any surprises, or if it's good, maybe that's an additional factor that you want to consider in your college selection process. Also with the college visit, you get the whole idea of a city versus a non-city type college. Now you can certainly read online that this college is in a city. Oh, this college is not in a city. But what does that really mean? What vibes do you really get? Unless you've actually been there, you don't really know what that means. Like for example, if you go to Boston University, the campus is literally incorporated into the city itself, and I believe like NYU is similar to that, where its campus is literally a part of the city. But by contrast, although Georgia Tech is in Atlanta, is in a city, it's kind of like in an isolated bubble away from the city, although being part of the city at the same time, and that's something I wouldn't know had I not visited. So honestly, you want to get a true feeling of what this campus is like, whether you really prefer city-like environments, waking up to cars honking 7 a.m. in the morning, or a more isolated campus where you can sleep in till 11 a.m. without a sound in the world. As for my second tip is ask current students your questions. And what I mean by this is, sure, you can do your college research on their website, or you can go in and ask the dean some questions or any professors that currently work at that institution, but do you think you're going to get any negative responses? Probably not. All their responses are going to be somewhat inflated. Like literally, people who are even in like liberal arts departments will talk about how amazing the biology or the computer science research is at said institution when they probably have no idea what it actually consists of. And if you're just getting all these positive signals sent by everyone that you're asking, it's going to kind of skew and inflate the view of that college in your own perspective. And so you're just going to think like,
this is an amazing college, there's nothing wrong with it, why don't I just commit?
But if that's the case, case, then no college student would be miserable, right?
I mean, it's a perfect institution that everyone's going to.
That's why I always say ask current students, especially the ones who are in your major. Like for example, when I was a high school senior trying to decide what college to go to, I talked to computer science majors at the university as I was seeking. Like for example, Georgia Tech, I talked to computer science majors. I asked them about the curriculum, I asked them about the difficulty and like different facets and different questions that I had, so I get a more holistic perspective. And with that being said, make sure to diversify and ask as many people as possible all the different questions that you have, because the more opinions you have, the less skewed the information is itself. If you just ask 3 people and they all had really negative experiences, then that's going to skew your perception of that college in a very negative direction. But by contrast, if you ask 30 people, it's not very likely that all 30 people had a horrible negative time at said college, and so you'll have a more diversified and a more informative information itself. And in fact, when I visited Georgia Tech, I hopped onto one of those scooters, I went around campus meeting and interacting with different people. I introduced myself as a potential incoming freshman, and I asked them some questions that I had, asking person after person what this major is like at this college, why should I come to this college, and I basically had a whole conglomeration of people sort of convince me to come to Georgia Tech. I mean, sure, there were negative accounts, but ultimately, because of all the positive perceptions that I got, I ultimately made the decision to go. And with that being said, maybe you don't know a lot of people at this college that you really want to go to, or you're unable to visit in person to actually meet up with those students potentially. Strongly recommend you all, in order to kind of get in contact with people who actually attend those universities, try to reach out via LinkedIn. And if you're a high school student without a LinkedIn, set up a LinkedIn. They become so essential in college. And so say for example, you're interested in Georgia Tech, try to connect with Georgia Tech students, and then if you're able to connect with them, then message them saying that, hey, I was wondering this about Georgia Tech, could you talk to me a little about that? And so if you're lucky enough, the student will say yeah, and then you can ask the question, and then ultimately make a more informed decision. As for the third category that you should be considering, and that is key statistics and key opportunities. Now, although people say that numbers aren't everything, numbers do mean something still. Like for example, number 1, you want to consider graduation rate. What percentage of students actually graduate, especially actually graduate within 4 years? You don't want to be at the university forever. Consider those graduation metrics, because obviously something with a lower graduation rate, something is a little concerning. But if a university has a really high graduation rate, then they probably have really great academic support, probably not going to stay lost because there are a lot of people there to help you. So that's very important. The next thing you want to consider is turnover rate. What percentage of first years actually return for a second year? So obviously you want that number as high as possible because you want people to actually return. If they're just leaving after the first year, then something is up. There's like an issue with like the dorms or like the dining hall or just like the first year classes. There's some big issue that you probably don't want to be a part of. So consider that. Also, the next thing is consider how well your university ranks for your major in comparison to other universities for that major. Like for example, one of the main reasons that I went to Georgia Tech for computer science was it's ranked 5th, I believe, in the nation for computer science and number 2 for software engineering. So it has a really awesome computer science program, which is what I'm going to be studying, and obviously it's really good for software engineering, which is the field I plan on heading into. So it's just kind of like the perfect situation for me. You do want to go to a pretty highly ranked university because later in your career life down the line, when you're actually wanting to seek a job, you want to have a pretty highly ranked university for that said major on your resume. Like for example, when I applied to software engineering jobs, companies see and they recognize Georgia Tech, wow, they're a pretty good school for computer science. You honestly don't want to go to like a no-name school, you want to go to the best university possible. And so college rankings and name brandings honestly do matter more than what people generally say they do. As for the fourth tip, now I know this kind of goes without saying, but honestly and truly make this decision for yourself. A lot of people, especially your friends and family, may have certain expectations for you that everyone in our family went to an Ivy League school, that you have to and you must go to an Ivy League school. And so keep in mind, your friends and your family aren't the one who's going to be accumulating $50,000 every single year in debt. Friends and family aren't the one who's going to be suffering for 4 years straight at this university that you don't want to go to, studying something that you really don't want to, when you could be at another university and much more happy. And so honestly, college is too big of a decision to cave into external pressure, to cave into what other people expect out of you. You got to honestly make it for yourself, because ultimately it is your life. After you graduate from college, you are going to be leading on your own life. You are going to be making your own decisions. This is all up to you. Don't let anyone sort of pressure you into picking something, because you really don't want to be miserable for 4 straight years. And so honestly, if you do follow these 4 tips that I've laid out for you guys, you honestly should be be successful in this whole college selection process. At the end of the day, if you pick the college that is best for you, that makes you the most happy, then you will have a great time, and your college life and your college experience could be amongst the greatest years of your life. Well, that's about all I have for this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to let me know by hitting that thumbs up button. And lastly, for more content, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.